Stand by. The program will begin soon.
When I see an American flag, I immediately look at that I'm like, that person's probably a bigot. That person's probably a homophobe. That person's probably a racist if they're just flying American flags out everywhere.
Hold up.
Hey, this sounds more like a you problem. You should probably go see somebody about that.
We got over $5 million per year from the American taxpayers, being given no bid contracts from Maine Governor Janet Mills, and is building a military in Somalia. He has been funneling money back to Somalia to build a military in Somalia. The guy is running a migrant services agency that builds Maine Care, which is what we call Medicaid, about $5 million a year. Oh no, those illegal immigrants are getting any Medicare. And then he said he raised money in the U.S. to buy weapons, munitions, and supplies for a paramilitary force he had hoped to lead as the president of Jubaland. Yes, that's a real state in Somalia. And to be clear, in Somalia, he's running to be the warlord of Jubaland. Elections in Jubaland aren't exactly like elections in America. It's whoever has the most guns is able to certify the election. So he needed to buy a paramilitary organization and paramilitary support in order to win the election. Avocados Diablos asked if you could bring any one comic strip character to life and train them to be a hitman, who would you choose? Oh, that's the easiest question ever. Calvin. Calvin. Oh, look, Somnambule Nation, you and I are on the same page. Calvin. From Calvin and Hobbes. Yes. And by God, Calvin would be the greatest hitman to ever live. Better than John Wick. I guarantee it. I didn't have to think of it. Stand by. The program will begin soon.
Yes, it's true. The Obama administration deported over 3 million people, and the Biden administration over 4 million people. But they didn't need troops. They didn't need military in the streets to do it. Tell me why. Put it in the chat. Tell me why you think that's that.
Because when Obama and Biden were in office, there were no riots in the streets of Los Angeles, even though 80% of the deportations were also expedited with no hearing. But you didn't give a shit then. Now that Trump's in office, you suddenly give a shit. Hope that helps.
That turkey was amazing. Mostly because I cooked it, because I'm really good at cooking turkey. So one of my tricks new tricks that I do, you know how when you cook a turkey in a pan, even if you got one of those raised pans, it always happens. You cook this turkey and the breast of the turkey get all nice, the top gets all nice and brown, and then you go to cut the underside and the thighs and legs are like all white underneath and not even done. Well, there's a trick you can do to avoid that. What you do is you cook the bird upside down for at least 1/3 of the cooking time. So you end up browning the bottom and sealing that first, even more so. And the other thing I do is I start my oven at 500 degrees. The first 45 minutes to an hour, you put it at 500 degrees, and then you turn it down to 325 and do the rest of the cooking. But anyway, do it upside down, and 1/3 of the way through, then you flip the bird back over in the pan, and the entire bird gets finished at the same time. So apparently, in the Europe, you can refer to Americans as pigs. but not convicted rapists. The German court gives woman harsher punishment than convicted. I hate when people say rapist. I'll just say unwanted sexual activity peoples for calling him a disgraceful pig. She called someone convicted of that crime a disgraceful pig and got a harsher punishment than the person who actually committed unwanted sexual activity. And so that's why people were posting that story about the German court gives women harsher punishment than convicted unwanted sexual activity.
Stand by. The program will begin soon.
There's a story about this man too. He led the attack on Pearl Harbor but died a Christian missionary on December 7, 1941. Captain Mitsuo Fuchida flew the lead plane against Pearl Harbor, shouting the famous code, Tora, Tora, Tora. He hated America. But after the war, he met a former American POW, Jacob DeSager, who had returned to Japan not to punish him, but to preach the gospel. Shocked by this forgiveness, Fuchida bought a Bible. He converted to Christianity in 1950. The man who started the Pacific War spent the rest of his life touring the U.S. and Japan preaching, quote, I was a follower of the sword. Now I am the follower of the cross. Amazing. Nearly 5 years after pipe bombs were discovered outside the headquarters of the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee in Washington, D.C., a suspect has been arrested in the case. On Thursday, federal agents arrested Brian Cole Jr., 30 of Woodbridge, Virginia, and he was charged with transportation of explosive devices, blah, 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 blah. But on Friday, legacy media outlets began reporting that Cole, this young black man right here, was a Trump supporter. And I'm not saying he's not because he's black. I'm just saying there's other evidence that might support the fact that he's not a Trump supporter. But we'll get to that. Quote, Brian Cole worked for a bail bonds company run by his father that worked to free illegal immigrants from ICE facilities and sued the Trump administration's Department of Homeland Security. He worked for his dad. They tried to free illegal immigrants. Interesting. Yes, I know every Trump supporter, every black supporter, Trump supporter, would be quick to hire Benjamin Crump, who represented the family of Trayvon Martin, attempting to sic the Biden administration Department of Justice on a local Tennessee prosecutor who had raised concerns about the bail bond company. So we'll find out eventually that this guy had wanted nothing to do.
Additionally, if you open this up to ice fishing, while on the surface it sounds good, then what happens next year? Does someone come back and say, I want an ice shanty on Hudson Springs Park for X amount of time? And if you then allow ice fishing with shanties, then that leads to another problem. Prostitution. And now you've got the police chief and the police department involved. Just data points to consider.
It is Happy Bill of Rights Day on December 15, 1791. The Commonwealth of Virginia ratified the Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments to the U.S. Constitution. George Mason and James Madison were the driving forces behind these guarantees of individual rights. And note that all the individual rights that are in the Bill of Rights are not rights granted by the government. Those are the inalienable rights which the government shall not infringe. And if you notice, it's interesting because the Bill of Rights is all about what the government cannot do, not what the government can do. And I think kind of got away from that a little bit, where some people seem to think that the government is going to grant you rights. No, these are rights you have, whether there's a government or not, and the rights that the government must protect for you. So it was a unique thing when it came about in 1791. that government is not there to grant you or give you privileges, but rather to protect rights that you have.
Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only PDawgKnight.
It is another Monday, and I'm knee-deep in snow in the end of March. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as PDawgKnight on the internet. Welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel, where we did get our little blizzard. We got our little blizzard here in the Twin Cities. And when I see, thing is, when you live here long enough, I ain't afraid of no snow. we got about a foot of snow here in the Twin Cities, and that was on Sunday. And by a Sunday afternoon, all our streets are clear. Like it is like a ballet of snowplows that just roam through our metro area. Like we could probably get 2 or 3 feet of snow and we'd still have clear roads by the next, within 24 hours. Like this morning I go to work and the roads are completely clear. There's snow everywhere on the sides of the roads. It's piled up 5 feet high, but all the snow plows are out all the time. They get out and they're boom, it's gone. Because we're prepared for this stuff. Unlike people in New York City where they gotta plow, they gotta shovel their own little space out on the side of the road and stuff. No, we don't need to hire a bunch of just volunteer snow shoveling people. Our shit gets clear. I had my neighbor, I get out this yesterday morning and there's a foot of snow in my driveway. I need to go get the snow blower out. I'm like, shoot, I didn't get any gas. And I look outside and my neighbor next door not only has blown the snow out of his driveway, but he did the neighbor next to them, the neighbor across the street, and the neighbor over there, because he's just out there, he's excited to have a snowblower out. He's blowing out everybody's driveway. And then I get my snowblower out and I blow out my driveway and I always do a giant lane. Like if someone wanted to park from my house, I just basically, between my house and his house, I always just blow the whole part of the street there. So when then the snowplows do come through, they don't push a bunch of snow in front of my driveway. And so I did that, and I went to the store, and went to the grocery store, and their parking lot's already cleared out. And, snow piled 8-10 feet high on the sides in the parking lot, but there you could park and find, and went in and got some stuff, came back, and the snow plows come through, and there's only this little tiny strip in front of my driveway because I had already pretty much cleared half the street. And that's how we do in Minnesota. We're built for this. It's not a big deal to us. We're like Canadians, although I live north of most Canadians. So it's, it just is what it is. Now, if that sounds weird to you, yes, Minneapolis, the Twin Cities area, more than half the Canadian population lives south of where I live. Because if you go straight east from here, you run across, you go through Wisconsin, you get to Lake Michigan, and you get across there. But most, like Toronto's south of where I live. Montreal's south of where I live. We're north of them. The way, it dips in that little part of the thing. That's where most of the Canadians live. They lived south of me. So anyway, there's my little snow story. Anyway, good morning. How you doing? Happy Monday. The 16th of March 2026. Yes, the Ides of March are yesterday. Tomorrow's St. Patrick Day. And go brah. And see there, there we go. And I got a 4.5 pound corned beef that I'm gonna throw in the pot tomorrow morning, just because that's what I do every St. Patrick's Day. I make a big old corned beef, and then I usually slice it up to make Reubens later because my wife's not really into corned beef, so I don't do all the cabbage and that. I just do the corned beef and make sandwiches and stuff. So anyway, I'm excited. I love a good Reuben, and if I make it myself, I know it's gonna be done right. So. Anyway, let's say hi to everybody and get this thing going because I got a lot of stuff going on. I didn't open a lot of articles from the aggregator, although I do encourage you to do that. But I do have just stuff on X this morning. Just kind of filled my plate. So here we go. First in chat today, Green Badger Outdoors. What? Yeah. Whoa, what happened there? Was that really soft? Did I? Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah, there. You get the bell for being first. Oh, good morning, Louie. Karen Soldiers in the house. Mike Savage, Blarg. Unholy Queen, a.k.a. Midnight, our young friend. Tyler F., a.k.a. Hurricane Franzi. Who else? Blue-Eyed Screams in the house. Random American. What's up? It's been a while. Snowed in, so you get an extra view today. Awesome. Good to see you. Where are you like in North Dakota? Where are you? What state? I don't need to know specifically where you are. Blue-Eyed Scream. I already said that. Yeah, I'm not snowed in. We're literally, it snowed all day yesterday too. But once my driveway was clear, it was like no big deal. They had the plows out. We got everything cleared out. Yeah, so I'm not snowed in. Anyway, Liberty Vet, what's up? Good morning. And as I scroll down, a taco pack is in the house. JB, what up, JB Liza? Let's see. Oh, wait, what did I do there? Oh, Wisconsin. Okay. That's what I thought. April still option for snow. Yeah, look, if you live Minnesota, Wisconsin, Upper Michigan, UP, North Dakota, here's what happens every spring, okay? Because we had a 65-degree day earlier this month or something like that. It was over 60. And I was out in shorts and a t-shirt, and then 2 days later, it was like 20 degrees. So I was out in the shorts and a sweatshirt, and then it got down to 0 one day, and I was out in a pair of jeans and a sweatshirt, and if it got below 0, then I'd got a jacket and a hat. But then then it was like in the 50s a few days ago, but then yesterday we got a foot of snow. It's just how it is here. This is how we live. And as Random American says, even April, you might get some snow. One of our biggest snowstorms was after my birthday one year since I've lived here. We got just a shit ton of snow, and by the next day it was all melted. So it's just, you just don't know what's going to happen where we live. And that's just the way it is. Ms. Wild Wolf's here. Also, Yoshi is back. Yoshi the Macabre. And Aaron Meredith, good morning. Avocados Diabli, what's up? Evil One's making an appearance. Nice to have you back. Man Squatch. There must be a lot of people snowed in or something. Reaction Puerto Rico. Are you snowed in? A lot of people must be snowed in. We don't get snowed in Minnesota. They don't even we barely have snow days for kids. Unless it's snowing on a school day and you're getting about 6-8 inches of snow. We don't really even have school snow days, because if it snows on the weekend, kids, forget about it. You're going to school on Monday. Just, it is how it is. Marty, are you going to watch the video I shared today? You know what? We might just have to do that today. All right, so that's everyone who's here. Good morning, everybody. I'm happy you're here. Lord Stanhope, I almost forgot. I almost missed you. I see those sunglasses there. All right, that's it. That's everyone who's here. Thank the people who are sharing the stream, including Somnambule Nation with this, who replied to the my announcement with a "Let's go." I'm here to kick ass and attain nirvana, and I'm fresh out of nirvana. Oh. Nothing like a violent Buddha. Also sharing the stream via just posting it yourself. I appreciate that right there. See, there it is. And also, this is Green Badger Outdoors with the little military hardware, doing some afterburner stuff. That's kind of cool. All right, there we go. And I did that thing. I hate it when I do that. I don't mean to do that. I meant to just do this, but you click it too fast and you might hit the wrong button. Also, Mike Savage with the daily Let Us Go. Thank you, sir. Unholy Queen, aka Midnight, with the new Twitter account. In fact, here, I'm going to put that. If anyone wants to follow Queenie Midnight X. There, follow that account that I just posted in the chat. Also, Ms. Wildwolf, that cute little kid in the drifting toy vet. That's always funny. Simon Wilkins with some, I still have to charge a stupid phone before going out to Pelmo Park to drink my tea. The following photos are from a totally different park called Vero Beach Park. There you go. Simon Wilkins with some nice photography of the walk today. Nice. Oh, I like that cobblestone sidewalk. That's kind of cool. I like that. That's good. Although, you know, it can be tough walking on cobblestones. Like when we were in Germany, like a lot of the streets are cobblestones, and it's hard on your feet and ankles and knees, and it's like it's amazing they still have those things, but you know, some of these older cities just like to keep it real, right? Also, Reaction Puerto Rico reposting the stream along with Miss Wild Wolf, Green Badger Outdoors, and Sound Humble Nation, and and the I don't care look is what I was looking for. And he caught it. You got it. You knew what I was going for with the I don't care. Also, Simon Wilkin with the Let's Go. This is from an episode of Stone Ocean, which is some cartoonish anime stuff that, you know, stuff I don't really watch, but some of it's pretty cool. I do enjoy it when I sit down and actually watch some. So there you go. There's all the stuff that we're doing. Holidays. Let's talk about what's to celebrate today. We're going to celebrate, dance to the music. National Panda Day. Oh, because pandas are so cute. They're not really bears though. They're more like giant raccoons. Everything you do is right day. Yeah, kind of. Well, not really. That's my wife. Rock Hopper's in the house. But what up, Rock Hopper? Also, Act Happy Day. 'Cause I'm happy that alone make you feel like a moon without a roof. Because I'm happy gonna make you feel like happiness is a truth. Okay, enough of that. No selfies day. Don't take a selfie today. Put the phone away. Break out the flip phone and don't break out the flip phone. Don't even bring that up. Oh, I'm on Top Chat. Did I miss anybody because I did that? I don't know. Maybe. Well, we'll see. We'll see if anyone else shows up just because I put it back on regular chat. Also, Lips Appreciation Day. National Curl Crush Day for the curly-haired folks like me. Oh, I cut it all off. National Vaccination Day. Make sure you're up to date on your vaccinations. Although that's that's in India, I guess. Black Press Day. Ta-da! National Artichoke Day. St. Urho's Day, whatever that is. It must be in Finland. It's in Finland. St. Urho's Day. And National Archer Day. Celebrating the name Archer? Oh, I thought it was like someone with bows and arrows. Okay, never mind. All right, let's get it on with it. Now, as I opened up X this morning, I was like, oh, I got all these things. I want to scroll through the trending topics and all that stuff. Oh, I see what you did, Reaction Puerto Rico. You thought I was doing an office thing. No, but you caught the right one, though, because that was an I don't care look, too. So there you go. Why are we pressing the blacks? Well... No, press. Like like media. Newsy people like me. I'm the black press. Me. Celebrate me today. All right. Now I scrolled through here. There was a couple things. Israel confirms Michigan synagogue attacker's brother was a Hezbollah terrorist commander. That guy that tried to drive his car into a synagogue, and he had some explosives inside, and he also had a gun, and they ended up subduing him forever. Apparently his brother was a Hezbollah commander. Now there's another article about it here in that was the New York Post article, and there's also an article in here. Let's fix that. We'll put the Post article up here, but also in the Daily Wire. Well, let's look at the Post articles. Israel confirms Michigan synagogue attacker's brother was Hezbollah terrorist commander. the brother of a terrorist who rammed a vehicle in a Michigan Jewish preschool, was Hezbollah commander, Israel Defense Forces have said. Ayman Mohammed Ghazali, 41, was shot dead after driving the vehicle into Temple, Israel in West Bloomfield Township in Michigan on Thursday. His brother, Ibrahim Mohammed Ghazali, was responsible for managing weapons operations within a specialized branch of Hezbollah's Badr unit, the IDF said in a statement Sunday morning. The unit of the Lebanese terror group is responsible for launching hundreds of rockets towards Israeli civilians throughout the recent war with Iran, according to the IDF. So he wasn't just some random Muslim guy. His brother is in Hezbollah launching rockets at people, which, was that, Now, the other question, though, is down here, why was he allowed in the U.S. in the first place? But I'm curious. Let's see if they have anything about that. Thursday, he drove some 38 miles from his house in heavily Muslim Detroit suburb of Dearborn Heights to Temple, Israel, one of the largest Reform synagogues in the country, which also includes a school and an early child care center. After crashing his car, which is packed with fireworks and gasoline jugs, he exchanged fire with an armed security guard before eventually fatally shooting himself after becoming stuck in the blazing vehicle. None of the 140 children or teachers and staff inside the synagogue were injured in the attack, thanks to the first fast action of the Temple, Israel's private security. Now, I wish I could find the video, but there was like a debate on one of these news programs. And I wish I had the copy. This woman was on there, and she said something to the effect, well, that was an Israeli temple in Michigan. And the guy on there is like, wait, hold up. And because she was about to say, well, see, they were attacking Israel by attacking an Israeli temple, because the temple's called Temple Israel, right? And the guy on the show is like, no, that's not an Israeli temple. It's an it's a Jewish temple that's called Temple Israel. And she's like, well, yes, but that means it's Israeli. It's like it belongs to Israel. He's like, dummy, that's not what it means. That's just the name. That would be like saying Mount Zion Baptist Church in Tupelo, Mississippi is a Zionist church. Like, because it's Mount Zion Baptist Church, so they're Zionists, and they should be attacked too. He kept trying to correct her, and she didn't get it. No, she didn't understand it at all. She was a moron. So anyway, that was fascinating. All right, let me. I got to do something real quick. I promised I would do this, so let me just. Let me find it. Let me find it. Oh, we got another. Let's go. Oh, is this? Oh, reaction on Puerto Rico. What are you doing to me, man? I'm here with feet of snow on the ground, snow everywhere, and you send me this picture? What is wrong with you? You're killing me, brother. You're killing me. All right. Now, that's not what I wanted to do, though. I wanted to, hang on a second. Let me just do something real quick. Where's it? Oh, my God. Candace Owens trending. Why? I don't care. I promised. Oh yeah, this is what is it? No, this is like, it's kind of long, but hang on a second. As I promised I would do this. So first, let me get this.
First, let's go over to Google.
Stop. We're going to go to a couple spots in here because, let me do this. Because I got to figure out the spots that you told me to go to first. Ms. Wildwolf sent me this last week, and I was going to play some of it because there's a couple spots in it that we wanted to mention. And give me a second because I got to make sure I got the. In fact, let me put this over here so I can use it for reference here. All right. Let's see this clip. All right. Here's where we are. Please tell me this worked. Yes, it did. Okay. So, this is the video that USA hating MSM does not want you to see. First, we're going to go to 420, which a little early for that. Okay, unless you're awake and bake. First of all, so we're talking about that school, that the school that all the school children was bombed or whatever, and so there's a couple spots in here showing that maybe it wasn't just a school. So this is at one of the points. Hang on a second here.
The name that's down here on the bottom of the screen, by the way, we're going to go over that in a little bit. The source that they actually used for this, which is very important. Uh-oh, she froze on me. Come on, wake up.
So right here.
Right here, coming up in the video, you guys are going to see a couple things, which shouldn't be a surprise to you. If you didn't catch it the first time, there's IRGC Officer 1, IRGC Officer 2, and you're about to see 3, 4, or 5 appear over here in the background. You got several. 1, 2, yep, 3. So a total of 5 that are sitting there. 6. I saw a 6th one. Now, this is where it gets interesting when you go into the quote-unquote classroom for young girls.
This is a classroom for young girls, supposedly.
And that's it right there. You guys see the big camouflage netting in the corner? That's what that is. That's camo net. That crap ain't cheap, and it's definitely not getting given away in Iran. And what it certainly appears to be is some sort of an IRGC mural hanging in the center of this classroom.
Why is that in the middle of a girl's classroom? Now, again, you know, it might be just propaganda. The girls are learning. You know, the other thing about this event, too, which is fascinating, is I was watching another video about it. Wait a minute. I turn this off. There you go. And all the buildings in this compound. So this building that they supposedly turned into a school, right? There's a bunch of buildings in the compound. And our forces hit a bunch of the buildings. But they hit all of them with laser-guided, you know, precision bombs. They all hit them center mass, right? They hit them all right in the middle of the building, destroys the building. The school that they supposedly hit, only the corner of the school got hit. Now, there are other videos people were taking there that got out that showed that maybe that missile didn't come from U.S. or Israeli forces from the Gulf, because again, they were saying these are Tomahawk missiles were shot from the sea, but this particular missile came from the wrong direction. It was coming from the wrong direction. So anyway, that's another part. Also, so that's the soldiers that were on site. Also the memorial in the classroom. And then at 5:36, we'll keep going here because there's a little more here.
Camo net, probably some dead martyrs, probably some names hanging in front of it. Looks like an IRGC mural. That's what it looks like in the middle of this young children's classroom. And nobody wanted to question this whatsoever, and that's fine. They can have a freaking Hitler Youth memorial right in the corner of their dang classroom. I want to show you guys something else. Noon. Local time, noon. Last I checked, this post is still live. This is a screenshot the way I had it. The account's up there on your screen. The situation of our students. We are different from each other. You closed down yesterday. Well, we are making missiles in school. We foster elites. Now, you can actually match that painting on that wall outside the building. But this is the crazy part. This was 2 hours later. This post is from 2 hours later. The goal of placing a school in Manab and the martyrdom of a large number of innocent Iranian students will break the necks of all those who paved the way for the attack on Iran, from the treacherous fugitive celebrities to the dog like Pahlavi. It is assumed at that point that the attack had gone down. Understanding the history of that location is very important. I talked about it. I posted about it before. This is that same overlay that they used to identify the building over in Manab.
So again, so this is this red in the upper right here. That's the school. And the rest of this is the military compound, and this green line around there, I think that's the like the fencing or the walls around the compound. I'm getting there, Ms. Wild.
The green line represents the IRGC compound. Okay.
Notice
the
the
green line
school's
represents the
inside of it.
IRGC compound. The yellow dotted lines represent the roadways that are going through there. Now, like I said, apparently 2 years ago, they decided to turn this building into a school. They said they built walls in there to keep everybody out, and that's what they ended up doing. I have been able to geolocate a fence here, and that's the one that I noticed. So that's it.
All right, and then there's the part about the direction, which is at the 9-minute mark here, which I'll show you in a second. We'll start right here.
That was not a 1,000-pound equivalent explosion. Not even remotely close. But told you guys it was going to get fun. So, Bellingcat conducted research on it. Bellingcat said that the video that you just watched was taken from across the street to the south of the compound, and I tend to concur. I don't think they lied about that. I don't think there's a dang thing wrong with saying that video was taken from the south. Not one tiny bit. That it was. They are correct. And as you look north, you would see the school, which is located right up over here in the top right corner of this image. We also know that all of these other buildings were center punched and leveled, but for some reason the school just had a little bit of a mishap. So, with that being said, looking at the video, I think most of us would concur. By the way, that was geolocated to this building right down here across the street.
You can see it in the green
Several
arrows
people
there.
have actually done this. Located right over here across the street, these green lines would indicate the direction that he was looking, which would mean the flight path of that particular munition would have been traveling east, northeast to southwest in this direction, going through the school, the direction of that red arrow. You guys see that, right? Well, here's the problem when we zoom out at a big picture, ladies and gentlemen. The U.S. warships are down here. This is Iran. This would be east, and it would have to not just do that, but it would also have to turn and start heading south in the opposite direction. It would have had to completely and totally button hook after flying over hundreds of miles of enemy terrain, risked getting shot down for absolutely no reason in order to make this happen. Their entire narrative, tactically makes literally zero freaking sense. Not one iota. The actual attack path that would be used for a Tomahawk, especially in this situation, would be over international water.
So they're going to show this.
Where there's a very smaller chance of it being intercepted. Not to mention, this is one of the opening salvos, allegedly. This would be one of the opening salvos. Before we knocked out all of their freaking radar systems, before we knocked out all of their aerial defense assets and everything else. You mean to tell me our military planners decided it would be a good idea to launch a solo Tomahawk across enemy terrain when we had international waters to the other side? And they could have gotten within 50 miles. 50 freaking miles of the target before it had to cross into enemy terrain. 50 miles. Now, which one do you think the United States would have planned and used? Do you think we would have attacked it from the north by freaking northeast, traveling south by southwest? No. Absolutely not.
All right, so I'm going to leave that there. This video is going to be in the links today, but it's about 20 minutes long, but it's really, or 24 minutes long, but it's really worth the watch. I watched the whole thing. Just explain that rocket that hit that school probably wasn't ours. So that will be definitely in the links today. Thank you, Ms. Wildwolf, again for sharing that. And it'll be one of the first links in the stream. It'll be one of the first links today. So there we go. All right. Let's move on. Where are we at? A bunch of headlines that I'm going to get through real quick, and then I'm going to just get to some. We'll get to just some of the things that are trending. There's a whole bunch of stuff that's just kind of right now news. First, just some headlines from about the war. Trump says Iran wants a ceasefire, but the terms aren't good enough, and he's questioning whether Mojtaba Khamenei is even alive. President Donald Trump said Saturday that Iran wants to end the conflict, but that he is refusing to make a deal because the terms aren't good enough yet, while signaling the United States could strike Kharg Island again, and questioning whether the regime's newly installed Supreme Leader Mojtaba Khamenei is even alive. Speaking to NBC's News on Saturday, as Operation Epic Fury entered its 15th day and headed into day 16, Trump made it clear he is not prepared to ease military pressure unless Tehran agrees to terms that he considers very solid. Iran wants to make a deal, and I don't want to make it because the terms aren't good enough yet. Asked what such an agreement would require, Trump declined to spell it out publicly, though he indicated that a full Iranian abandonment of nuclear ambitions would be central to any acceptable arrangement. So that's, I'm not sure if this video has anything to do with that. The comments align with a Reuters report earlier in the day indicating that Trump administration had rebuffed efforts by Middle Eastern allies to launch ceasefire talks, while Iran likewise rejected any truce unless U.S. and Israeli strikes stop when its own conditions are met. Senior White House officials cited by Reuters said Trump is not interested in ceasefire talks right now and intends to continue the mission unabated, suggesting both Washington and Tehran are digging in as the conflict moves deeper into its third week. And apparently last night, or over the weekend, U.S. forces executed a large-scale precision strike on Kharg Island, Iran. The strike destroyed naval mine storage facilities, missile storage bunkers, and multiple other military sites. U.S. forces successfully struck more than 90 Iranian military targets on Kharg Island. Here, I'll put a separate link there for this, and they have some video from it. Let's see what their video is here. And then apparently they struck more than 90 Iranian military targets on Kharg Island while preserving oil infrastructure. Which, if someone says it's a war for oil, it probably is. Part of this too, if you think about what's going on, and I think we talked about this last week, but this puts China in a tough spot because, and also Cuba, because the oil that Cuba gets was all from Venezuela. They're running out of oil in Cuba because of the Venezuela situation. Now we got Iran being attacked, which is all part of the BRICS thing. They were going to try to do a coalition between Iran, Russia, China, Venezuela, and trade oil in a different currency. Now apparently the Russians are in side talks with us about going back to selling their oil using American currency. And also this puts Cuba in a complete box because all of everyone who is helping Cuba have any kind of energy is in trouble right now. Venezuela, Iran, and China can't help them. So there's a whole, it's another war about resources. And my initial thoughts when this thing kicked off was like, I wasn't for it at all. But I didn't have a strong enough idea of why it was happening. I thought that it had something to do with the fact that Trump told the Iranians that if you kept killing your own people, that there's going to be consequences. I don't know if that has anything to do with it or not. There's a lot of different reasons why people are saying this is happening. And I don't, me being not a fan of any kind of war, as I listen to more Iranians talk, they're hopeful that this is going to allow them to finish what they started with all these protests, because they've been murdering protesters left and right in the hundreds of thousands, or tens of thousands, I should say, and not necessarily hundreds of thousands I know of, but it's just at this point you can't stop it, right? It's already started, so I'm at the point. Well, what can we do to make sure that this? How does this benefit us? How does this benefit the Iranian people that want that the mullahs, whatever, gone, out of power? And so now, how do we make the best of it now that it is going? And make it decisive and quick. And so it looks like there are signs that this might have been decisive. And but how is this going to affect the Iranian people? Is this, we don't want to be a nation builder again. We don't want to be in there for 20 fucking years like we were in Afghanistan and Iraq. So, that's why I'm having a hard time. I have a hard time justifying it, but I also have a hard time arguing against it once I start listening to all these people. All these Iranians around the world are like, yes, we needed this help. And now the fact that the Iranians went out and started hitting everybody else in the Middle East, there's a couple stories where you're going to go, oh, that was stupid of them. So let's move on. Israel is now hunting for IRGC Quds operatives as Operation Epic Fury entered its third week. The Israeli Air Force is hunting down commanders and fighters of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard and Quds Force as joint U.S.-Israeli military operations enters its third week. Over 6,000 members of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps have been killed and about 15,000 have been wounded since the start of Operation Roaring Lion and Epic Fury, the Jerusalem Post reported Sunday. The official added that the hunting and targeting eliminations of senior regime figures have led to significant pressure and confusion for those in leadership positions. Yeah, because they're like, am I going to be a martyr next? Senior Fox News correspondent Trey Yinks revealed that Israel's security services have placed key operatives of Iran's Quds Force on a hit list. You don't want to be on an Israeli hit list. I'm just saying, you don't want to be on an Israeli hit list. That's you're probably going to get hit. Since the military operation began 2 weeks ago, 7 top Quds Force commanders have been eliminated in Iran and abroad. He confirmed IRGC's Quds Force as Iran's shadow terrorist army operating in the Middle East. So all these, the Quds Force, are they counting Hezbollah, Hamas, what is in Yemen? But they Iran basically has control all those different terrorist groups in the Middle East. And even the Arab people don't want them around. They don't want them. So Israelis intelligence has opened what they are calling a Quds file, an effort to systematically target Iran's Quds Force and infrastructure across the Middle East. A senior Israeli security official told Fox News. The official said Israel's taken out 7 Iranian leaders. Okay, it's the same story. He just repeated it. So that's the point there. Also, now this is crazy because there's not only in London, but also in New York City, there's been rallies, pro-Iranian regime rallies, which in the United States, yeah, free speech, right? In London, it was banned. So hundreds of people turned out in London Sunday for a pro-Palestinian march banned by a government after police said it was organized by a group supported by the Iranian regime. Because you know that what do they call it? Quds Day or something like that, where all the Iranians around the world basically support who want these big marches and whatever in support of Palestine, right? Palestinians, whatever. And well, they banned this in London because they were supportive of the Iranian regime. Interior Minister Shabana Mahmood said earlier this week that she had agreed to the ban to prevent serious public disorder in the context of ongoing conflict in the Middle East, where Iran has launched strikes in retaliation against the U.S.-Israeli offensive. It's the first time a protest march in the capital has been banned since 2012, but a static demonstration was permitted according to Metropolitan Police. Police kept people at the annual Al-Quds Day event and counter-protesters apart by allowing them to gather on opposite sides of the River Thames, not far from Parliament. Pro-Palestinian protesters who were directed to the south side of the river waved flags and held up placards with slogans such as "Stop the Israeli War Crimes," in a reference to Israel's offensive in Gaza in response to the October 7th attacks. There's a quote here: "I feel so strongly that what has happened to the Palestinians is so unjust." Pensioner Jean Apps 81 from Purley in South London told AFP. Always the white liberal old ladies, man. And now I'm here because of the illegal attacks on Iran. I know Iran is not perfect. I know that Iran is not perfect. perfect, but the Iranian people should be left to sort out their own problems. That makes sense in a way, except the fact that when they start protesting, they get murdered in the streets by the thousands. Because they're not allowed to have a protest against Iran in Iran. Oh, anyway. So that went on, and they were yelling at each other across the river. Now, this is what I was talking about, how even Hamas is kind of concerned at what Iran's choice of response was. Even notorious terror group Hamas thinks Iran's retaliatory strikes on neighbors are too much. The radical Islamic terror group of Hamas urged Iran to stop attacking its neighbors in the Persian Gulf in a Saturday statement. Iran responded to the U.S. military Operation Epic Fury by firing hundreds of ballistic missiles and drones at targets in Israel, Qatar, Bahrain, Oman, and United Arab Emirates, Kuwait, and Saudi Arabia. The seemingly indiscriminate retaliation prompted the terrorist group, which had been backed by the Iranian regime, to express deep concern about the conflict in its first such appeal to the regime. Hamas urges Iran to stop targeting neighboring countries. The quote here, the Islamic resistance movement Hamas is following with deep concern the war unfolding in the region. The movement once again strongly condemns the American Zionist aggression against the Islamic Republic of Iran, which violates the rules of international law. What rules of international law? You know, as much as I hate this thing and I don't like that we did this, but now that we're at it, I'm like, fuck it, go, do it right. What international law? Because Iran has been attacking people, us and Israel and everyone else in the Middle East, pretty much since the mullahs took over. Proxy terror attacks, funding terrorist groups, bombing, destroying, shooting down planes. They've kind of been waging war on us for a long time. And we haven't done anything. You know, and when Trump was talking about, if you start killing people in the streets, that you're going to have hell to pay. And, you know, a lot of the liberals in the United States were probably still calling him Taco. Trump always chickens out. Well, did he chicken out this time? I don't think he did. I think he did. I don't think he did. But yeah, what are the rules? You know, what are the rules? Oh, this violated the rules of international law. Did Iran break any rules of international law? Funding your sorry asses? So anyway, which violates the rules of international law, international humanitarian law, and threatens security and stability in the region and in the world. The radical Islamic terrorist group statement reportedly reads, quote, the movement affirms that the interest of the Islamic nation and the region lies in stopping this war. It calls on all states and international organizations to work immediately to halt it. Hamas also expresses disappreciation for the efforts made by various countries to prevent the outbreak of war and to prioritize the language of dialogue and diplomacy, which Hamas is famous for. Anyway, so there's that. And then finally, apparently the Iranian foreign minister admits mentioning nuclear bombs like Witkoff said, but claims it wasn't a threat. So this was an interview on MSNBC, and credit to the interviewer here who does actually press him on a few things. I don't know how long this part of the video is. This is 14 minutes. We're going to skip that part. I have some clips of this later, but there was, you know, they mentioned that, well, here, during an interview on MS Now on Saturday, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, I don't know how to say his name, responded to claims that he told the U.S. that Iran had enough uranium to make multiple nuclear weapons by saying that he did say that he said they say they had enough material that, if enriched further, could make 10 nuclear weapons, but claiming that this was actually just trying to convey how big of a concession Iran was willing to make and not making a threat. He said, quote, "I never said that we were going to make the bombs. I said that we have 440 kilos of 60% enriched material, and that was not a secret, and that is what is mentioned in the reports of the IAEA. So I said that, look, this is mentioned in the report. This, if enriched more, can make good enough for 10 bombs, as your own experts claim. So we are ready to give them up and to give them away. We are ready to dilute them, to downblend them into lower degrees." Great. And then he continued, and by saying that, I wanted to say that the concessions that we are making is really big. Yes, it's really big concession that we're not going to enrich that any further to make bombs. That's our concession. But how they have interpreted that, I don't know. Maybe because the lack of enough knowledge, maybe because their intentions to justify, as I said, the act of aggression, which cannot be justified. Well, I don't think that was the main, that was one of many reasons that they say they've done this. Hello, Selective Boy, by the way. Yeah, boy. So anyway, there's that. All right, let's get into some the featured news on X today that I thought was important to feature. So if this thing works. Oh, first of all, when I did open X just before I started the show, there's another one of these Harry Enton polls that I guess didn't necessarily look so great for Democrats. I'm not sure. Let's see. Bill Mitchell, Henry, and just dropped a brutal polling truth on CNN about congressional Democrats. Let's just play it. We'll just play it and see what Harry says, because he gets very excited about polls and also surveys. Anyway, here's Harry Enton.
How are voters feeling about Democrats right now?
Yeah, I mean, Democrats in the minds of the American public are lower than the Dead Sea. What are we talking about here? Well, let's take a look. The net approval rating for Democrats in Congress, you said it, Kate Baldwin, the lowest ever. Look at this. Overall, they are 55 points underwater. Their approval rating is south of 20%. It's even worse when you look at independents. Look at this.
Oh my
Negative
goodness.
61 points. That means that their approval rating is 61 points lower than their disapproval rating. Quinnipiac has been polling this question for the better part of the 21st century. They have never found Democrats, at least those in Congress, in worse shape than they are.
Now, I always wonder when they have polls like this, what's the reason they are underwater? If they're that bad, is it because independents don't think they're doing enough, or do independents just think what's the word for it? Suck. Which I'm probably guessing it's an interesting combination of both, right? Also, as I scroll through here, the media has this kind of narrative going on right now that when we started this conflict, that we didn't really have a plan for the Strait of Hormuz, and so this is former Fifth Fleet Commander Kevin Dunnigan from the U.S. Navy, retired, shuts down the media's ridiculous, quote, failed plan for the Hormuz Strait narrative. So here's what he said on ABC This Week with the ever annoying Martha Raddatz.
But you say we knew about their capabilities, and certainly in the Strait. Are you surprised that we didn't do more or have a bigger plan for against that?
I'm curious what we didn't do.
I would say that if you look at the campaign CENTCOM initiated, this was built into it from the beginning. And when you think about it in terms of the things that the chairman said and the things that Admiral Cooper said his mission was, one of the things in there was to go after the Navy. And what they really meant was Iran's capability to control the straits when this is over.
Something's interesting here, too. Look at what the Chiron says. Strait of Hormuz effectively closed as ships faced attacks. Except there are a bunch of ships going through the Strait of Hormuz right now. And I remember because there was particularly a couple Turkish ships came through, and then Iran announced, well, we let those through. We gave them permission to go through. And then some other ships went through, and they're like, yeah, well, there's some ships we're letting through, whatever. And then they're doing the mining operations, but now the coalition forces, aka U.S. and Israel, taking out many of the mine storage facilities on that island. And so there is traffic going through the Strait of Hormuz. So, saying it's effectively closed, is it closed, or are our fleets protecting ships going through there? I'm not sure.
We don't want them to have power projection capability.
And we've basically taken out their Navy, so they can't do it with their Navy. So now what?
We also don't want them to have this leverage over this internet, this such an important chokehold. So this effort that's being done and being waged by CENTCOM is specifically to get at their cruise missile threat, their ability to launch drones at boats, put mines in the water, all those things that when this is over, you want them not to have, if that makes any sense.
Okay, so that's part of the plan, according to him. And then there was one other. Oh, apparently some of the pro-regime protests in Iran that they've been touting and showing videos have been AI generated. Shocker. And then finally, police chief of Iran warned state TV warned people not to take to the streets, otherwise everyone will be shot. And yet brave Iranians are still taking to the streets en masse. And this is just some video from that. I got an update on some of that later in the show too. So now they're risking their lives by doing this. Unless these are pro-regime protests, I'm not sure. So, moving on. Now, those will not. I don't have links to those in the links today. Let's get to some of the trending topics on X though this morning. First of all, Dominican Republic is trending. I got nervous when I saw Dominican Republic was trending. I'm like, oh shit, what happened in the Dominican Republic? Good morning, Rick Ashbringer, by the way. I was like, oh shit, what's happened in the Dominican Republic? Oh no, it was just the World Baseball Classic. The United States beat the Dominican Republic in the semifinal round, which is pretty amazing because Dominican Republic has been dominant in world baseball kind of stuff lately, but the United States won 2-1, and they're going to the finals. So if you're into baseball, one of my friends is actually attending these games, and he said it's really fun to watch. Also trending. I do have a separate link for Harry Entom's poll number if you want to share that at all today. Also, gosh, I haven't even mentioned the Oscars today. Apparently the Academy Awards were last night, which in my dialect of the English language, I don't really give a fuck. But as expected, some of the actors were out there making political statements, but there was something missing it was very interesting. So first of all, what was expected is you have people supporting No to War and Free Palestine, which is Javier Bardem. I have no idea who he is. I suppose he was either presenting an award or he got an award, but he said this, shocker.
No to war and Free Palestine.
The problem with that is he didn't finish the sentence. Free Palestine from Hamas, because that's the biggest problem they're having in Palestine. And what does it mean to free Palestine. What does that even mean? I'm not even sure. Here, Palestine is the first in history to kidnap, bludgeon, then strangle to death both infant and toddler brothers and still gain global support. Yeah, that's accurate. Then also, but other related stuff to the Academy Awards, apparently Sinners, I guess, is a movie that got a lot of nominations, and I'm not even sure. I guess Michael B. Jordan won Best Actor for his role in Sinners. And oh, by the way, I've extended a streak. Hang on a second. Let me just stop this. I have extended a streak that I believe is 22 years running, where the movie that got the Academy Award for Best Picture, I haven't seen. I haven't seen it. And I may see it later if it shows up on Netflix just out of curiosity. But I haven't seen it. Someone says the real moral of Sinners was something even the filmmakers might have missed. What's happening in this scene portrayed as being good until it's ruined by the white vampires. Oh, this was that vampire movie. Yeah, like all the good, the bad people were all the white vampires. Let's see. What's happening in the scene is portrayed as being good until it's ruined by the white vampires, but it shouldn't be seen this way. The preacher's kid was blessed with a gift from God with to open people up to the spiritual, but instead of dedicating to its highest purpose, the worship of God, he fell for a deception and became a prodigal son. The juke was built upon a foundation of sin at every level, so the young man leaves the church to simply become a musical priest for different gods. So instead of making music that connects people to God, he has now opened the door to demons. The vampires don't bring the demonic. It's already there. The preacher's kid survives the ordeal, rejects the vampire's offer, but also rejects his father and the church and goes back out to make a name for himself in the end. It's implied that this is the right moral decision because he didn't sell his soul, but that still misses it. We should have every reason to believe that this young man will continue to bring hell wherever he goes by opening up the wrong spiritual doors as a gift. So I haven't seen the movie, so I have no idea what the fuck he's talking about. But anyway, also trending one battle after another apparently is the movie that won the Oscar for Best Picture. Haven't seen that either, but now that I know what it's about, I know exactly why it won the Oscar. It says here, one battle after another wins Best Picture at the Oscars. The story focuses on a raid on an immigration detention facility, highlighting oppressive border control, systemic racism, and the role of Latino labor. A leftist's wet dream. Yes, never even heard of the movie. Let's see. One battle after another, winning the Oscar. It's worth noting that this man is part of the film's inspiration. He was a trust fund radical who never had to work for a living. I'd recommend my thread on him for anyone who wants to understand him better. So this is Bill Ayers. Remember him? One of Obama's mentors, so to speak. He's one of the guys who was in the Weather Underground that bombed government buildings. From Pentagon bombs to praise for Mondani's. From Mondani, Bill Ayers says the quiet part out loud. I tuned to this Bill Ayers interview, and it's a gold mine if you're cataloging unrepentant radicalism. Bill Ayers is just a piece of work. So I'll leave a link to Bill Ayers' interview too. I'm not going to play it today. It's too long and it's cringeworthy. And then Best Pictures trending just because, again. Oh, by the way, in order to compete, there's a list here of things have to be in your film to compete for Best Picture in the Oscars now. And did I say Weather Underground? What did I say? Yeah, I said that. So these are just some of the rules to be even considered for Best Picture. A1, lead or significant supporting actors from represented racial or ethnic groups. A lead or significant supporting actors from underrepresented racial or ethnic groups. At least one of the lead actors or significant supporting actors submitted for Oscar consideration has to be from an underrepresented racial or ethnic group in a specific country or territory of production. This may include African American, Black, African or Caribbean, East Asian, including Chinese, Japanese, Korean, Mongolian, Hispanic, or Latina. Oh, they gave you every different spelling of it. Latina, Latina, Latino, Latinx. Indigenous peoples, including Native or Alaskan Native, Middle Eastern, North African, Pacific Islander, South Asian, including Bangladeshi, Bhutanese, Indian, Nepali, Pakistani, or Sri Lankan, Southeast Asian, including Burmese. It has to be a lead or significant supporting role has to be of something other than straight white males or even white women. Also, A2, general ensemble cast, at least 30% of all actors not submitted for Oscar consideration have to represent at least two unrepresented groups. Not just one, but you have to have at least two represented in the other 30%. Women, racial or ethnic group, LGBTQIA, LMNOP, or people with cognitive or physical disabilities or who are deaf or hard of hearing. Now, I think you could get around this by just saying that all those extras that don't have any lines, you could just say, oh, they're all deaf. And then you'd have women and deaf people. You could just say, oh yeah, all those, the people who's walking through the scene there, they're all deaf. Anyway, in A3, the main storyline or subject matter. The main storyline or lines, theme, or narrative of the film is centered on an underrepresented group. Women, racial or ethnic group, LGBTQIA plus LMNOP, or people with cognitive or physical disabilities who are deaf or hard of hearing. That's a requirement. So, like, of the 96 films that have won Oscars, I think 70 plus would not be eligible for Oscars anymore. Also, there's another list down here. Where is it? I scrolled down and saw it. Oh, wait, here. Hang on a second. It's in this particular thread. Where is it? That's only part of it too. Also, here's some other standards that are required to be considered for Best Picture. For eligibility to even be nominated for Best Picture, on screen, at least one non-white actor must be cast in a significant role. A story cannot center on a straight, white, non-disabled man. So you can't have a movie about Winston Churchill. At least 30% of the cast cannot be straight, white, non-disabled men. Also, at least 2 department heads, director, cinematographer, composer, etc., cannot be straight, white, non-disabled men. At least one must be non-white. At least 6 other crew members must be non-white. At least 30% of the film's crew cannot be straight, white, non-disabled men. And also, as far as the industry and audience, the film distributor or financing company must have at least 2 interns who are non-straight, white, non-disabled men. At least one must be non-white. The film's production, distribution, or financing company must offer training or work opportunities to those who are not straight, white, non-disabled men. And some of the senior marketing, publicity, distribution executives on a film cannot be straight, white, non-disabled men. At least one must be non-white. Now, I'm not here to cape for white people. But I'm just curious if your film is really, really good, like really good, really, really good, and you want it to be nominated for an Oscar. Do you have to submit the list of people that make you qualify for this movie and all of their qualifications based on race and sex and all that shit? Like, I'm just curious. How do they even know? Michael Caine's Zulu. How do they even know? How do they even know? Oh, let me see what's this? Here, hang on a second. Talking Points memo. Is this from? Oh, yeah, I saw that. I'll try to get to that. That's funny. So anyway, I'm just dumbfounded that those are actual requirements to even be nominated for the Best Picture. That's amazing. That's amazing. By the way, Sean Penn was also trending, and I was like, oh, Sean Penn, I'm sure he was at the Oscars saying some other bullshit. But no, he was on Jimmy Dore's show the other day, and Bill Maher, at one point went and had dinner with President Trump and was, pleasantly surprised at how cordial Trump was, thought he was going to be just a dick. And he's like, oh, he was actually a pretty nice guy. I mean, we had disagreements, but he was very cordial and nice and whatever. He's very different in person than his persona in the public. So Bill Maher was talking to Sean Penn about would he go have a dinner with Trump? And Sean Penn's like, oh, no way. And he's like, wait a minute, you'll meet Castro and Hugo Chavez, but not the president of the United States? So this is 4 minutes. I'm not going to play it, but I do highly recommend that you watch this. It's very interesting. Oh, the top winners, though, of the Oscars last night. Best Picture, One Battle After Another. I never heard of him. Best Actor, Michael B. Jordan in Sinners. I've heard of Michael B. Jordan, but I haven't seen Sinners. Best Actress, Jessie Buckley. No idea. Sean Penn he got Best Supporting Actor. That's why he's also trending. I have no idea for what, because I haven't seen any of these movies. Best Supporting Actress, Amy Madigan. Best Director, Paul Thomas Anderson. And Best Original Screenplay, Ryan Coogler for Sinners, which I have not seen. Oscars is dead. One Battle After Another is pure leftist trash talk. Every character, every theme is sophomoric, anti-American, anti-white dreck. Sean Penn sounds like his voice is dubbed, plays a military man and tries so hard to portray him as a madman who hates blacks but loves to shut him up. DiCaprio plays a burned-out revolutionary pothead who hates America and capitalism. They all flew into Los Angeles on private jets. True! So, FTG to Hollywood in general. All right, moving on. Oh, Marty Supreme. That's also trending. That was a movie, I guess, that was had some actors up for shit. And I have no idea. Kevin O'Leary, everyone told me, oh, that's from 2025. But apparently everyone thought that Timothy Chalamet, whatever his name, was going to win an Oscar for that. And he did, because Michael B. Jordan got the Oscar. And some people are mocking him because apparently, well, here's his face. One of the biggest surprises of the night, Michael B. Jordan won the Oscar for Best Actor thanks to his performance in Sinners, which, again, nobody saw. Oh, Kevin O'Leary showed up with a $25 million necklace. You know Kevin O'Leary. So anyway, all right, enough about the Oscars. Oh, this is the part that one last thing. This was the part that I was going to mention, though. So no one even mentioned or didn't have their little Ice Out buttons on last night at the Oscars. Like, they've already forgotten about Ice Out because they're on to the next protest, because it was whatever the protest of the day was not Ice Out anymore. So here's someone mentioned that in this video. Here it is.
Anybody notice the lack of Ice Out pins today at the Oscars?
No one's wearing Ice Out pins.
I did notice it. I honestly searched to see if anybody was wearing it, and I missed it. There were a few on the red carpet, but none of the main celebrities. And I saw no real outrage from anybody either. The people that are typically fans of this and celebrating this, sharing it on their Instagram stories, saying that these are the good celebrities, the smart ones, they didn't really care. It's just a reminder that a lot of these celebrities they do what the in thing is. And that's whatever. They're celebrities. This isn't even a discussion on should Ice be in or out. It's just more they're as fickle.
This is what I'm
as the wind
supposed to
is.
wear, so
That's
I do.
The thing, I think I could be wrong, but yeah, no Ice Out pins. And nothing's really changed either.
So they're all full of shit. They just glom onto whatever the protest of the day is. Another sports thing's trending. Team USA not only captured hockey gold in the Winter Olympics for the men and hockey gold in the Olympics for women, but now they've hit the triple crown of hockey golds. The U.S. sled hockey team dominated Canada 6-2 on March 15th in Italy for their 5th straight Paralympic gold, following the women's Olympic overtime win on February 19th and the men's dramatic 2-1 victory on February 22nd, both over Canada. And this was also over Canada. Sorry, my Canadian friends. They're gloating about this now, too. Wallace tallied 3 goals and assists in a perfect 5-0 run, outscoring opponents 46-6. This marked the first time one nation swept men's Olympic and women's Olympic and Paralympic sled hockey golds, with celebrations calling it the Triple Crown and memes poking fun at Canada's sweep. So, and they also were very loudly singing the national anthem at the end of the game. So congratulations to the men's Paralympic sled hockey team. Also trending in Virginia. These are the feature stories on X. Virginia bill is going to fine people who have visible guns in their cars. So no more gun rack in the back of the pickup with your shotgun so you can go hunting after school. House Bill 110, sponsored by Delegate Amy J. Laufer, prohibits physical handguns in unattended vehicles to curb thefts that fuel crime. And also towing possible for violators. So they'll tow your car and fine you if you have a gun that's visible in your car, which is kind of dumb anyway. If you carry a gun, I don't want it to be visible in the car. I want someone breaking into my car to steal my gun. I don't own any guns, but you know what I'm saying? It passed the House 60-37 and the Senate 21-18 on March 14th, now heading to Governor Abigail Spanberger's desk. However, there's an interesting caveat in this bill. It exempts lawmakers in the Virginia legislature. They're exempting themselves from a new gun control bill. The provisions of this section shall not apply to any member of the General Assembly. So if they have a gun that's in their car, well, we'll just overlook it because you're exempt from the law. Best bill rules for thee, but not for me, because I'm special. Virginia voters are shocked to find out that Virginia Democrats are voting to exempt themselves from a new gun control measures they are imposing. The provision in this section shall not apply to any member of the General Assembly. We warned you, and we warned you. So what's this?
Madam President, I wish the senator from Eastern Fairfax could hear himself. Because we think this job has gotten dangerous in the last couple of years. Well, how many Virginians out there believe that they're in a situation where they need to protect themselves? But yet we don't listen to them. Well, not me, but this body's not going to listen to them because they think they need to have this protection. We're going to carve something out for General Assembly members. That, to me, is beyond the pale. General Assembly, we are a citizen legislature. We are citizens just like everybody else. We go back home. We interact with their constituents. We're a part of the community. We are no better than anybody else. And we should never vote for a bill that gives us a special privilege over any other citizen.
Kudos to him for saying that on the floor. And I'm sure that, what's that dude's name? There's one of my favorite legislators from Virginia is on, has a, like Instagram, TikTok, whatever. He makes videos basically ridiculing his own legislature. Gavin Newsom also is in the feature stories today. He is claiming that Texas and Florida have higher taxes than California. Here's Gavin Newsom talking about how their taxes are lower than Florida and Texas.
We have the most progressive tax
rates in America, Texas, the most regressive. Texas taxes poor folks more than we tax our richest. The question for you is, who's the higher tax state?
By far, California. Trust me.
Or Texas? Who are you for? Are you just for the 1%? Or are you for the 99%? And so our whole approach, that's one progressive tax. Florida is the other regressive tax state. Your middle class pay more taxes in Texas than our middle class in California. It's a great mythology. It's just the richest of the rich come here because they can avoid
okay. He's full of shit. Now, Ron DeSantis said there are lies, damn lies, and statistics. Then there's whatever you call the claim that California has lower taxes than Florida. Even people who like California governance acknowledge California is a very high tax state, highest sales tax, highest income tax, and highest gas taxes in the nation, which when he talks about regressive taxes, well, I would say the gas tax in California, which is higher than any other state, is a pretty regressive tax if that's his definition. So here, he just said this is a blatant verifiable falsehood. Here's Wallet Hub's 2025 analysis of the overall tax burden by state. California is the fourth highest. As you see here, Hawaii, New York, Vermont, California is the highest. Texas is ranked 40th. So he's just full of shit. He's just full of shit. He talks straight out of his hind parts and will lie to your face. But he looks really good with that hair because he has really nice hair. He's letting it go gray for some reason all of a sudden. I think he's trying to look like an elder statesman. He's letting his hair go gray. It used to be slick back black, looked like a fucking oil field. Anyway, other feature stories, New York leaders mark the UN Day Against Islamophobia amid security tensions. So, it's kind of the meme, right? It's kind of the meme, which is, Libs of TikTok put it up here. Remember, Norm Macdonald said, "What terrifies me is if ISIS were to detonate a nuclear device and kill 50 million Americans, imagine the backlash against peaceful Muslims, And so Governor, what's she replying? She's replying to Governor Kathy Hochul on this International Day to Combat Islamophobia, and at a time when fear and divisions are rising in many places, New York stands firm. Hate has no home here. Muslim New Yorkers strengthen our communities every day, and we will always stand together against Islamophobia." Great. I hope that means you're gonna prosecute those two guys who threw the bombs to the fullest. Oh, here's Representative Dan Goldman. Islamophobia has no place in America. On this International Day to Combat Islamophobia, we must recommit to stamping out hate, confronting prejudice, and standing up for our Muslim neighbors in New York and across the country. As if you don't do that constantly. We cannot conquer hate of any kind, and we do not conquer hate of all, if we do not conquer hate of all times. Well, New York is like one of the highest places of incidents of attacks against Jewish people. I never hear, and Dan, you of all people should be concerned about that. Here's another one. Speaker Julie Menon. Today on International Day to Combat Islamophobia, we stand with Muslim New Yorkers and reaffirm our commitment to confronting Islamic hate in all its forms. New York's strength comes from its diversity. They're just stepping all over themselves. And look, one of the biggest causes, as we saw the meme the other day, that one of the biggest causes of Islamophobia is when people who kill in the name of Islam. So there you go. Also featured a soldier's blunt video urges American critics to leave. First, we'll look what he says, and then we'll make fun of Jimmy Kimmel, and then we'll play his again. Here's what he said. And he's probably going to get in trouble for doing this in uniform, I'm going to guess, because that's just how it kind of works. But here's what he said.
Hey, I don't know who need to hear this. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of people be talking shit about America. Hey, if you don't like America, go to another country, bitch. I love this country. I'll protect this bitch.
Okay, very succinct. Might get in trouble for it, but good for him. Which contrasts that to Jimmy Kimmel, who thinks that, quote,
"Are you exhausted?
Am I exhausted?
By the state of the world and knowing every night
you've
got to
say something. Looking in my face and going, exhausted.
No, but I mean,
yes, I'm exhausted. Of course, it's ridiculous.
Exhausted at not ever being funny.
Ridiculous. We live in a ridiculous country. We always lived in a ridiculous country, but it was always ridiculous in a fun Mr. T kind of way. Right. Now we've got a different Mr. T. Yeah.
Mr. T. Wow, I didn't think of it as a Mr. T.
Well, you know what? That's why I had to host the show.
Are you scared?
No, I'm not scared. No, I'm not scared.
You're hopeful?
Am I hopeful? I'm always hopeful. Yeah.
You're a bitch. Shut up. Anyway, I won't play the other one again, but yes, I am. This is again for Jimmy Kimmel.
Hey, I don't know who need to hear this.
Jimmy Kimmel
you know
does.
What I'm saying? I see a lot of people be talking shit about America. Hey, if you don't like America, go to another country, bitch.
There, I'll just leave it at that. It's that simple.
Gotcha, bitch.
Anyway, thank you for that service, man. Again, he's probably getting in trouble for that, though. You can't do that kind of shit in uniform, but well, maybe you can. I don't know. Maybe his superiors be like, he said it, but you were thinking it. He said it, but I was thinking it. All right, so he's getting some kudos today. Other things trending, Tucker Carlson, he could be in trouble. Oh, gosh. Andrew Thorsten, what's up? Nice to have you back. It's been a while. Tucker might be in trouble. Apparently, he's been communicating with some Iranians, and apparently the CIA was monitoring some of the Iranians that he was communicating with, and so now they've gotten some emails that are some that he's been talking to and maybe giving up secrets. And I think the Trump administration, who his son works in, is like as an intern with the vice president or something like that, and apparently he somehow got some information that they fed to him that was false, and the Iranians got it and tried to use it, and they found out that Tucker Carlson might have given it to him. That's not good. So here's I'm just gonna give you a little 6-point thingy here. I don't know what state secret Tucker has. He probably didn't have any state secret, but they fed him some stuff to find out why he was communicating with the Iranians. So Tucker Carlson has allegedly been conducting his own foreign policy with Iran on behalf of the United States. At some point, the CIA got wind of this and informed President Trump, who may have then used Tucker as an unwitting counterintelligence asset to feed faulty information to Iran. Following the launch of Epic Fury, Tucker's traitorous behavior may have been finally caught up with him, as the DOJ reportedly prepares a criminal complaint against him based on CIA intelligence. Bonus round, an example of Tucker likely parroting Iranian regime propaganda. After the operation began, Iran sent IRGC agents to carry out attacks in Saudi Arabia and Qatar, but those plots were foiled. Iran then told Tucker these were actually Mossad plots, a claim he pushed online and spread like wildfire. Saudi and Qatar had to publicly deny Tucker's fake news about the Mossad. So is this it right here? This is the after the attacks. This is Tucker Carlson.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report.
Now remember, it's illegal for the CIA to operate within the United States. Apparently the information they got, though, was somebody they were monitoring in Iran, and just happened to be Tucker Carlson that was communicating with them. That's seems to be the story right now.
The Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere. I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of reasons. One, I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and I've never acted against it. Its interests are the only interests I care about because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids. So that's not a concern. I've also never taken
It probably
money
won't go anywhere. I
from
don't think it
anybody.
will, but we'll
Don't need
see.
it, don't want it, and that's provable. And moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time and try and figure out what's happening around the world. That's literally what I...
Problem, though, and is if he fed the information that he got from somebody that they spoon-fed him, that could be a problem. So that's interesting.
I do for a living, and I'm not going to stop doing that. Nor should I don't think. I'm also an American. I can talk to anybody. I have no secrets
And you
to
should,
divulge.
Tucker. I think you should.
So
I
legally,
have no
I
problem with
think
that.
the case is ludicrous, and I doubt it'll even become a case. I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons, though, and they're pretty obvious. One is that countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war. People are dying. The stakes are high. People's emotions have risen to a very high point, to a crescendo. And so there's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent in the homeland. The irony, of course, is the United States fights wars on behalf of freedom, but there's always less of it here in our country during war. So that's a widely recognized phenomenon, and it's likely to happen now, too. Another point to make that is worth knowing is that the USIC, the intelligence agency, spy on Americans. Now, you probably knew that, and it's been revealed a lot, including by Julian Assange and Ed Snowden, both of whom are threatened with death for revealing it, but everyone knows. But it's probably a little more widespread than most people understand, and it's outrageous.
That's good. And that's it. It is outrageous if they think that you're spying directly on you. But my understanding is that they were spying on the Iranian officials that you came in contact with. So that's the only way they would have gotten your information, unless the FBI was investigating you. But that didn't sound like the FBI was involved.
There's no justification for your government, which you own, you're a shareholder in it, you pay for it, to be violating your privacy like this. But it happens all the time. And in fact, one of the reasons that CIA or people within CIA, just to be clear, it's a huge, sprawling, disconnected agency. What it does in a specific case doesn't represent what everybody in the building thinks, but there are some people who are mad at me for my views about Israel, and they have some latitude. And one of the reasons they pass on criminal complaints, in effect, to law enforcement is to justify warrants for spying on Americans. So that is an absolutely real thing. But
and he's right there. We've seen it in some other cases. One of the most famous, obviously, was the gentleman who was in the Steele dossier.
Reason they do it is to leak the existence of the investigation, such as it is, to the media, and then humiliate and terrify the subjects of this op. And that's, of course, happened to me repeatedly, many times, including in famously 2021 when I was still at Fox News and trying to set up an interview with Vladimir Putin. And the NSA, I heard from someone there, had grabbed my text messages with an American citizen and had leaked them to news outlets. Those texts were basically my attempts to set up an interview with the foreign head of state, and they leaked them to the New York Times in order to stop the interview, which they successfully did, by the way. And they admitted that they were spying on me. This is not a fantasy. It actually happened. They did it again 2 years later.
Seems like both sides are spying on Tucker
anyway, and they've done it since. And so when you get a call from a reporter who knows the contents of your texts, it's pretty clear something's going on. None of this, in my judgment, as of right now, is a huge threat to me. So I'm not making this video to complain about it or whine or ask you to send me money because I'm under attack. I'm saying it because it's true, and you should know what your own government is doing, and you should know what the stakes are. And you should know that a lot of what happens in this country that affects outcomes happens behind the scenes. Some of it is legal, some of it is not, including what I'm describing now. but it has an effect. And the intel agencies, again, not everyone in the intel agencies, because there are decent, hardworking Americans who work in the intel agencies are Americans, just like there are decent, hardworking Americans who work at the DMV. But there are also people with agendas and grudges and no sense of restraint who are happy to misuse the power they have, granted them by our elaborate secrecy laws, to hurt fellow Americans for ideological reasons. That is entirely real. That's the story of Russiagate. And it's likely that things like that will begin to happen at greater scale now. So you should just know that going forward.
So I'm curious how much of that applies to Tucker Carlson. So very interesting, very interesting turn of events here. Now, apparently, Bongino and Allen, there's a cancer growing inside this movement. Here's what's happening and why it matters. A faction of the right-wing media figures, Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, Megyn Kelly's, and others, have been steadily moving away from Trump and the MAGA agenda, positioning themselves as real conservative opposition. They question the Iran war. They platform open anti-Semites. They push conspiracy theories about Charlie Kirk's death. They call anyone who pushes back a Fed, a shill, or a bought and paid for operative. They flood the zone with noise, manufacture outrage, and tell their audiences that the people actually serving in government are the real enemy, and a portion of the MAGA audience is following them. That's the cancerous movement Dan Bongino and Graham Allen are talking about. Here's what makes it personal. Graham Allen gave up his show, let staff go, and answered the call to serve at the Pentagon under Hegseth. Bongino walked away from the massive income to serve his country. These are the men who sacrificed real things for this movement. They came back and delivered an honest message. It's harder than you think. It won't be fixed in 90 days, and there's still a lot of work to do. The response from part of the audience they built: you're feds, you're controlled opposition, you're getting paid millions to lie to us. The millions, by the way, that nobody can ever actually produce evidence of because they don't exist. Meanwhile, the actual grifters, the ones whose views shift with whatever gets the most clicks, who platform Nazis for ratings, who jump from cause to cause based on where the money and attention flow, those people get defended as brave truth tellers. Graham's history with Candace says it all. She wrote a glowing blurb for his first book. She now hates his guts, not because Graham changed, because Graham didn't give her what she wanted and called her out when she deserved it. Tucker was never really a Trumper. Megyn Kelly admitted on camera she was a loser sitting on a couch until Shapiro rescued her, and now leads the charge against him. Candace spent years as a left of doxing conservatives before discovering MAGA was a better brand. These are not people who built the movement. These are people who moved into it when it was valuable and are now moving out of it because attacking it is more profitable. Question them and you're a Fed. That's not a movement. That's a racket. So there's another way to look at it, and you'll find both the videos in the Tucker thread. Treason's trending again. Some people are mentioning Tucker. We don't know. We're not saying he's committing treason. We don't know. But what's this? This is from March 15th. CIA Director John Radcliffe has just put out a bombshell intelligence report finding that the Obama administration ordered the FBI not to investigate or pursue criminal charges against then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton for illegal retention of classified documents under the Espionage Act. The report cites a former FBI agent, Lisa Page, who played a key role in cooking up the Russiagate hoax against President Trump, under oath claiming that she and other FBI agents were told by Obama's White House to leave Clinton alone. This means that James Comey also lied to Congress when he testified that a congressional hearing at the FBI received no outside pressure to influence the Clinton investigation or potential charging decisions. This is just another one of the laundry list of crimes and cover-ups committed by Barack Obama and his treasonous administration. He will be remembered as the most corrupt president in American history. The Democrats accused President Trump of weaponizing federal law enforcement to protect his friends and target his enemies, but we now know that is exactly what Obama actually did. Is anyone surprised by that? Anybody? Nobody's surprised by that, but that's the report. So there's a couple things on that. Let's see. I'm going to finish up with, speaking of actors and actresses, here's another actress who's showing her brilliance and complete grasp of current events. I don't even know her name. I don't even know who the fuck she is. But anyway.
It's an Artists for Ceasefire pen, and what we are demanding is a ceasefire in Gaza. And I think that I am so blessed to have a platform. And this is...
Wait. Did she just say... This is from yesterday, Academy Awards, on the red carpet and all that. They're demanding a ceasefire where?
It's an Artists for Ceasefire pen, and what we are demanding is a ceasefire in Gaza. And
isn't she a little late? The ceasefire already happened, didn't it?
And I think that I am so blessed to have a platform, and this is the least I can do to use it. And like sometimes the news cycle is so fast and people move on, but the people in Gaza and the West Bank are still suffering. So yeah, it's just bringing attention to that. It's an
what is her name? Sharitha Chandran demands a ceasefire in Gaza, despite the ceasefire started 6 months ago. So, well, at least she's up on current events. Also, then there's just other articles about what's happening in Iran. Nurses tortured and violated for treating Iran protesters. There's on January 8th, amid Iran's deadly protests, forces raided Shahid Rahel Cardiovascular Medical and Research Center in Tehran's Valley Asur district. They arrested 5 female nurses who defied orders, shot 2 others dead, and tortured the survivors, including repeated gang rapes, causing several intestinal and uterine injuries requiring colostomies. What? And surgeries. One nurse begs for doctors not to save her and remains restrained to prevent self-harm. So anyway, the nurses were helping people who were survivors of these attacks by the regime on protesters. And they killed some of them and beat them for helping people. They were ordered not to treat some of these people. And so they went in and not only killed the ones that were in the hospital, but then beat, killed, and did terrible things to the nurses that were treating them. In fact, there's a longer version of the story. The Islamic forces stormed the Tehran's heart hospital in January, and right in front of the doctors and nurses, they started delivering mercy shots, executing the wounded. They told staff, "You're not allowed to treat them." Out of 30 people on staff, about half stood their ground and refused to stop. They dragged them down to the basement and murdered 2 of the nurses right in front of everyone's eyes. They took the rest into custody and put them through every kind of torture imaginable. 2 of the nurses were ganged so brutally, even using objects, that their internal organs were destroyed. Anyone defending this Aramanic regime should face consequences for their actions, be it CNN, Tucker Carlson, Bujra Shak. There's a name of all the people who are defending the Iranian regime. So then the story's here in a separate link. Some of these, and also some of the women's soccer team that had been granted asylum in Australia are withdrawing their asylum bids because their families have been kidnapped and tortured in Iran. So some have decided that they're going to go back, where they will probably still be executed. And apparently there was kind of a mole in that group that was a part of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard, whatever she is, an insider in the regime, who was kind of in there convincing them that they should renounce their asylum claims. So who knows if we're ever going to see these women ever again alive. It's awful. Also here's someone who's an Iranian. It says, I'm asking CNN, these are the faces of over 240 Iranian children and teenagers brutally killed by the Islamic Republic in the streets just 2 months ago. Where were your headlines? Why didn't the world see this? Just the names and pictures of them. That's in my thumbnail. Also, here's a breaking news from earlier today, though. Yesterday, the building responsible for blocking Iran's internet has been obliterated. So we may now see a flood of videos from actual Iranians. So what had happened? They were blocking the internet in Iran. Also, they have cameras all over Iran, the facial recognitions where they can catch women not wearing their hijabs right or showing hair, and then they arrest them. That system has been destroyed. And then there's just a couple other articles here, but I don't really have time to get into it because I am out of time. But there's a ton of articles, updates on Iran, updates on various things that have to do with the war and all kinds of other stuff, all other kinds of political stuff in the Ace of Spades morning update by JJ Sefton. That'll be in the links today. Let's see. Oh, that's interesting. Hang on a second. I also have an article here about a village in Iran that the regime destroyed, and apparently a Canadian school cancels an event with an ISIS survivor because her harrowing description of torture and sexual violation would be offensive to Muslims and foster Islamophobia. So that's the meme. That's the Norm Macdonald meme. That's the Norm Macdonald meme. They're doing the meme. Kill 50 million Americans and we're worried about Islamophobia. If someone did that. So that is it, folks. I got to go. Thanks for joining me on the Morning Night Live today. I'll be back tomorrow with more stuff, updates, things happening in the news. Hi, Greg Rogers. Nice to have you here. And, what'd I do? Oh, there we go. We're good. Just not popping up. There we go. All right. So every time I read some of these things that are happening in Iran, like I said, I wasn't for this. I wasn't for another war in a foreign land. But every time I see things that the regime is doing and I listen to the people who are in Iran or from Iran or know what's happening with their families, I go, God, I hope we accomplish something that's more long-term for those people. So it's some of the stories are just terrible. There are the links in the chat. I got to go. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. My name's PDawgKnight and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comments section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterward so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through the Streamlabs link, which is also in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.